Greetings everyone. I've been working on my Taskmaster and I've been tying it together with my time clock. Basically what I'm trying to say is these two are working in tandem together. So as you can see, I'll type in my email address, and this is actually coming over from the Taskmaster. It's running through my local stores to see what's available. And as you can see, I am currently working, and so I can clock out, and then it will draw out how many minutes I worked, which is 8 minutes. Anyway, so as you can see, when I go back to the Taskmaster, this is the item in question, and it's right here. So as you can see, I've put some new stuff into this. We are now allowed to have status and a little more detail. Obviously, we still have the ability to set a time when it's due and a countdown. So obviously, I can change this. Let me see. Change the priority to high. It's in progress, and it's due on the 22nd. Okay, a little more realistic. So what's going on here is pretty interesting. I've also tied these together so that since they don't have a database, and you, let's say you clear your storage and wipe all this data out, now you can actually have the ability to download it. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll open it, and I'll show you what downloaded. Okay, so as you can see, I'm keeping my task list fairly separate. My time clock is going to be identified as the time clock identifier has the name of the ticket, and then of course it has the email of the individual who's listed on a time clock along with their times in and out. So as you can see the structure here, that's what I'm counting on when I download it and when I upload it. So we also have the ability to merge and whatnot, so let me show you all this. Now that we have it, I'm going to clear out our data here in our local storage. Clear that, so we don't have anything. Nothing here. Okay. And so I'll build something. So I'll call it build new test. And yeah, sure, it's in progress now. It's elevated. I want to do today. First example on video. Okay. So now that you can see that, we'll go ahead and take a look over here at the time clock. And once again, the only thing listed now is that. So if I just start it again, and I'll clock in here. Cool. So I'm working on that now. Anyway, let's go back to our Taskmaster, and let's see if I can merge. I'm going to go ahead and go choose file. Bring in my task list that I just had. I'm going to merge it. Okay, so now I got 2 of them here. And let's take a look and see if the hours transferred over. And it looks like they did. New time test is here, and here's the old ones. So now when I go back over to the time clock, type in and here we are with this one, and I'll go ahead and clock out now. There you go. And let's try this. And here we go. I worked the 0.8 hours for this one as well. So that's all good. It all worked over just fine. Taskmaster has been updated. And so what's going on here basically is when I click here, I'm going to go ahead and it'll open up. These are just toggles to tell you kind of where you're at, what you're working on, or if you want to click them like you finished them, no problem. but they open and close via this way, as well as when you click them. And then when you want to edit something, obviously you would click here to start with. So then from there you can select the ticket you want to edit with. And of course, when you go through here and you start changing things, these will tell you all your details for whoever's working on it. Anyway, how are we doing this? Let's find out. What I've done here is just showing you how something that usually doesn't come up that often, but I'm surprised it doesn't. What I'm telling it to do, and I've just basically done a search on the word key, is the really important part is to come through and know what these keys are. And then from there, you're going to be able to punch out this rather easy because we're always grabbing the value. So as you can see here, I'm going through my local storage and I'm telling it to give me all the keys that are in my local storage. And then I'm also going to see if it's going to do a nested for loop through my tasks. And then coincidentally, if they start matching up as a time clock, I'm going to start pushing them into an array called keys list array. And then from there, I have a list where I can actually build out an object called saved hours. So my key that I've been finding through my for loop and my data will be implemented. Now, this will also be able to put on local storage the same direction. So I have a list of all my keys, and now I'm saving them in JSON stringified as the data. Now let's go back up. So if I'm going to add something, I would be going through here and basically saying, okay, I'm going to do an onload. Let's get the result. Let's start parsing this object. I want to build an empty array for a time clock. Let's go through and get all those time clocks pushed into my array. And then from here, I'm going to build out my local storage for my time. Same thing we did earlier. So all the keys and then all the data. And obviously just the time clock IDs are going to be identified here. And if it's merge, we're going to go ahead and put the task list. If the merge is default, actually. So this would just be an upload. So it just basically writes over what you had. And then here would be something that merged it. And there you go. The task list now is here, along with the temp task list. So we had to basically specify that now that this object may very well have some hours in it. So we just want the task list. And then we start going with the way we already had it. And then we obviously we're going to be saving it, and the rest is kind of how we already built it. So anyway, this is a really important idea of how to grab the keys and then remember what the keys are, because you need to build out an object later on. So grabbing the keys is kind of an interesting tool that is rarely used but very important. Okay, as we can see here, I've got an email affiliated with the Build Data Together, which is listed over here. As you can see, I have it. It's in progress, and it's got 8 days till time is up, and it's very important. So, what am I going to do if I change it? If I change the name of it, what's going to happen? Keep in mind, if I put this here, there's my time. 13 minutes and then 16 hours and 89 minutes, or something, 89%, something like that. Yeah, here we go. 17 total hours, 0.002. Back to the task master. And Let's see if we can edit. Old stuff to clean. Anyway, let's try just changing that up. Now, you can see here, it changes it to lowercase just on purpose over here. And let's swing back over to the time clock. And yeah, as you can see, it's stored correctly. This is it. I'm looking for this, and the old one's gone. So basically, there's the email again. Old stuff to clean is now, and it's representing the same spot. There we go. So how did I do this? Well, let's wander over here. I went ahead and set it up with some comments. So the initial word, this actually comes out as a number. It's just the iteration number within the object of what we're looking for. But that's tricky, so in which case we got to dig out the name once we know the number. Here I do a for loop through the local storage and get all the keys and push them into an array called keylistArray. Then I run through keylistArray to see if there's any matches of the actual word that has been matched. Now notice here's the object, the number iteration of the object, and of course the task name. So in which case, if I find that there's a match, then I swing in and I go ahead and make, well, this would be the email that we already had, because I just have a string all the way up to the first colon, then the edited word, and then the time clock for, string here, and then we put the local storage of what it used to be from the keylistArray. And that way now we have an updated object, and we're allowed to delete the old one. So we've just replaced it once we've gotten the data into the new one. And that's that. So anytime you update a task name, it's going to go change that on the time clock, and you won't skip a beat. Obviously, if there's multiple people working and you change a task name, that's going to be something you might want to pass along, saying I changed the title. But if it's just you working alone, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And so, yeah, another way to utilize the keys, very important details in working together with things like this. I hope you learned something. Thanks a lot.